Rome, 390 BC. Gallic warriors have just stormed the city, leaving flames and rubble in their wake. What was once a cluster of villages now lies in ruin. Most civilizations would have vanished after such a disaster. Rome should have died, but it didn't just survive. It rose from ashes to defy history itself. Using modern AI tools, we've reconstructed ancient Rome at its peak, combining historical records with archaeology. What you're about to see isn't imagination. It's history, brought vividly to life. Over the centuries, this shattered city transformed into the first true megacity in human history. A living, breathing machine of power spanning 3 continents. And the heart of all it lay here, the Roman Forum. Not a plaza, not a market. This was the control room of the ancient world. Every road, every law, every conquest, all flowed through this space. Using AI reconstruction, we can finally see what ancient Romans saw. Marble temples glowing white, statues towering overhead, crowds echoing between columns. At its peak, dozens of temples, arches, and monuments packed this single space. And this building still stands today, the Curia, the Senate House. Inside, nearly 600 senators argued, negotiated, and decided the fate of millions. But laws weren't shaped only by debate. They were shaped by emotion. Right here stood the rostra, the speaker's platform. This is where Mark Antony stood after Julius Caesar's assassination. He didn't just speak. Ancient sources say he lifted Caesar's blood-stained toga, showed the knife wounds to the crowd, and read Caesar's will aloud. Caesar left money and land to the people. The crowd exploded, so violently that they cremated Caesar's body right here in the Forum. On that exact spot, Romans built the temple of Julius Caesar, declaring him a god, the first Roman ever to be worshipped as divine. But power in Rome wasn't only political, it was spiritual. From the heart of civic debate, we move to the flame that kept Rome's soul alive, hidden, yet unbreakable. This is the Temple of Vesta. Inside burned a single flame. It burned continuously for over 1,000 years. Romans believed if it ever went out, Rome itself would fall. The flame was guarded by the Vestal Virgins, elite priestesses chosen as children. They served for 30 years. They could own property, free prisoners, walk untouched through crowds. But if they broke their vow, they were buried alive. No trial, no mercy. Christianity finally extinguished the flame in 394 AD, and not long after, Rome itself began to collapse. Coincidence? Romans didn't think so. But while religion anchored Rome's soul, power lived somewhere else. Above it all, from the heart of politics and religion, our view rises where emperors watched, ruled, and built their power on Palatine Hill. This wasn't just a hill, it was the most exclusive address on earth. Every Roman emperor lived here. Augustus, Rome's first emperor, began modestly. His house was impressive, but restrained. That changed fast. Centuries later, Emperor Domitian decided modesty was weakness. He transformed the hill into a palace complex so massive it swallowed the landscape. The Domus Flavia, ceremonial halls for state banquets, foreign kings, and political theatre. Ceilings soared nearly 30 meters high. Gold, marble, power. Right beside it stood the Domus Augustana, the private residence, bedrooms, gardens, baths, 2 palaces, one for show, one for life. And then, Domitian added something no emperor had ever dared, a private stadium. Over 160 meters long, built just for the imperial family. From here, the emperor could watch races and games without ever leaving home. But even that wasn't enough, because real obsession lived just below. This is the Circus Maximus, the largest stadium ever built in the ancient world. Over 150,000 people packed inside, and they didn't come for calm entertainment. They came for speed, violence, death. Chariot racing was the most dangerous sport Rome ever created. Drivers reached speeds over 70 kilometers per hour, smashing into each other in crashes so brutal they were called shipwrecks. Charioteers tied the reins around their waists. If they crashed, they were dragged. If they survived, they became superstars. One driver earned enough money in his career to feed the entire city of Rome for a year. Fans formed factions: blues, greens, reds, whites. Their loyalty was so extreme, riots broke out, sometimes killing thousands. This wasn't sport, it was identity. But Rome's most infamous arena wasn't the largest, it was the deadliest. The Colosseum seated only 50,000, but what happened inside was unmatched. Over 300 years, an estimated 400,000 people died here. Gladiators, prisoners, criminals, slaves, and hundreds of thousands of animals, lions, bears, elephants, imported from across the empire, hunted nearly to extinction. A typical day began with executions at dawn, animal hunts at midday, gladiators in the afternoon. But the real miracle wasn't the violence, it was the engineering beneath the sand. Under the arena floor was a 2-story labyrinth. Slaves operated 28 elevators, lifting animals and fighters through trapdoors. To the crowd, a lion appeared instantly, as if summoned by magic. During the opening games alone, 5,000 animals were killed in 100 days. Rome turned death into spectacle. But when Romans weren't watching blood spill, they were worshipping. From the roar of the arena to the silence of the divine, we enter spaces designed not for spectacle, but for the gods themselves. This is the Pantheon, a temple to all gods. And unlike most Roman buildings, it still stands. The dome spans 43 meters, unsupported. No steel, no reinforcement, just Roman concrete and genius. At the center is the oculus, a single opening to the sky. Rain falls straight through. Light moves like a sundial. For nearly 2,000 years, architects have tried and failed to surpass it. Brunelleschi studied it for Florence's dome. The US Capitol copied it. It survived because it became a church in 609 AD. But Rome's most sacred temple didn't survive. Perched atop Palatine Hill, the Temple of Jupiter dominated the skyline. This was where victorious generals ended triumphal parades, prisoners, gold. Armies climbed the hill to sacrifice to Jupiter, king of the gods. For over 800 years, this was Rome's spiritual center, visible from across the city. Fire destroyed it multiple times. Today, almost nothing remains. But Rome's true power wasn't in gods or temples, it was in soldiers. And sometimes, those soldiers turned inward. Rome once forbade troops inside the city. Emperors ignored that rule. They created the Praetorian Guard, elite bodyguards stationed right outside Rome. At their peak, 10,000 soldiers, paid triple a legionary's wage. They guarded emperors. They also assassinated at least 13 of them. Once, they literally auctioned the imperial throne to the highest bidder. Their fortress, the Castra Praetoria, wasn't built to stop invaders. It was built to contain the most dangerous force in the empire. But while emperors feared soldiers, ordinary Romans depended on something else: water. This is the Aqua Claudia, one of 11 major aqueducts feeding Rome. It stretched 69 kilometers, carrying water purely by gravity. No pumps, no engines, just perfect engineering. As it entered the city, arches rose 27 meters high, as tall as a 9-story building. Romans walked beneath it daily, barely noticing one of the greatest engineering achievements in history. Together, Rome's aqueducts delivered hundreds of thousands of cubic meters of water every day, enough to supply baths, fountains, homes, and sewers. And that water flowed into the daily lives of over 1 million people. So where did they live? Most Romans didn't live in palaces, they lived in insulae, apartment blocks, 5 or 6 stories high, cheaply built, crowded, dangerous. About 90% of Rome's population lived in these buildings. Families shared single rooms. Upper floors had no running water. Fires spread fast. Collapses were common. So common that emperors passed laws limiting building height. Every morning, Romans poured into streets, markets, and workshops. One place stood above the rest. Built into a hillside, Trajan's market contained over 150 shops and offices, multiple levels, warehouses, administrative centers. This wasn't just shopping. It was the empire's economic engine. Spices from the east, wine, olive oil, pottery, fabric. Deals were made here that affected provinces thousands of kilometers away. And after a long day, Romans went somewhere we wouldn't expect. The baths of Trajan covered over 11 hectares. They could hold thousands at once. Bathing wasn't quick. It was an event. Exercise, hot rooms, cold plunges. Friends met. Business deals happened. Politics were discussed. Entry cost almost nothing. Slaves bathed beside senators. And all of it was powered by the aqueducts. Rome gave ordinary people a quality of life Europe wouldn't see again for over a millennium. So what was Rome really? Rome didn't just build monuments, it built systems. Apartment buildings housing millions, water infrastructure supplying an entire megacity, markets stacked vertically, mass entertainment on a scale never seen before, public spaces that shaped social life. Rome answered a question no one else could. How do you make 1 million people live in one city and survive? 2,000 years later, New York, London, Tokyo, Shanghai, apartments, stadiums, sewers, concrete, different technology, same blueprint. Rome solved it first. We've been copying it ever since. If you want to see another ancient city reconstructed with AI, watch the next video on your screen, because what ancient Rome did next changed history forever. This is Epic Ages Uncovered, and the past is bigger than you think.